It was a desire to create a legacy and a desire to make a difference. I mean, the two firms that came together in June 2011 to form SizweNtsalubaGobodo have been operating for a number of years as medium-sized firms. And we believe that we're not having the impact that we'd like to have. And we needed to create economies of scales to be able to have the impact in the market, and impact largely to be able to undertake large, complex project, but also to be able to contribute significantly in terms of the training and the quality of training of black chartered accountants. That's what motivated.
Would you say that consolidation is a trend that black industrialists are going to have to think about if they are to become big players in the South African economic space?
Yes, I think size it's very relevant if you are going to have a meaningful impact, and it's difficult to have a serious impact if you don't have economies of scale. For instance, especially in our area, where the regulatory environment and that we operate in and the changes that we operate in needed us to really invest internally and have the support system to be able to support the teams that go out there and do professional services work. So for us to be able to do that, and for us to be able to have the resources, we needed scale. We needed to have a large scale contracts, projects, to be able to get decent fees and to be able to reinvest into the organization. And we believe that we provide a model which people can look at for empowerment and building large sustainable businesses. Normally and historically, when we look at and when people talk about enterprise development, they used to refer to small enterprises. Right. But we believe that for the good of the economy and socio-economic situation, you really need to encourage businesses and enterprises that are large, that are owned and managed by black people. And yes, we're starting to see evolution of those, but the progress is very slow, and we believe that a firm like us, SizweNtsalubaGobodo, would encourage other professionals, would encourage other industries to really look at growing and being big in a very serious manner.
Let's go back to your mandate and let's look at the state of transformation in the financial services sector in South Africa. Have we progressed, and how much more still needs to be done?
Certainly we are not where we used to be. We have made progress, and I think we find ourselves in a situation where various stakeholders are looking at the issue of transformation earnestly. And yes, there's a lot of backlog that needs to be addressed. We have progressed. We have more than 2,000 African black chartered accountants out of a total population of about 36,000 or so, which is translating to a very small percentage. So you can see that if we were to say we want to reflect the demographics of the country to be reflected in the profession, we still have a long way to go, where 80% of the people in the country are African black people, and yet in the profession, it's the other way around.
So what needs to be done, and by whom? I mean, we do have entities such as SizweNtsalubaGobodo taking up the gauntlet, but we're still not meeting the numbers. Who needs to do what for us to try and see that demographic alignment?
I'm glad that our institute, South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, have identified this as a strategic imperative and is spending significant resources, human and financial, to try and address the situation. But in doing that, is collaborating with all the players, especially the big accounting firms, through the Tutuka project, where we're pulling the resources, the few resources that we have, and pulling them together and partnering with government in addressing the issue. So that's one area. But the firms themselves individually are also working on their own plans to address the issue. For instance, SizweNtsalubaGobodo, we spend more than 5 million rands in our bursary scheme, in addition to our contribution to the Tutuka Bursary Fund. So it will involve a lot of collaboration with various stakeholders. But fundamentally, the problem is at the education level, where the quality of education is not preparing the candidates for what they would encounter in the training, in their training of being accountants. So that's a huge problem, and I think it has been recognized. There's a lot that various stakeholders are doing in terms of addressing the challenges that are at a foundational level from an education point of view. As a profession ourselves, we are doing a lot in there, but I feel that there's a lack of coordination in terms of various attempts to try and address the various issues. And I think if all the stakeholders, with all the good intents that they have, if they could collaborate, the impact would be much larger than it is now. And the biggest issue has to do with the mathematics at high school level, where there's two sets of mathematics, and the other set is not. Maths literacy, yes. Maths literacy is not accepted at university, and we find the schooling system sort of channeling the majority of the students to maths literacy.
When you saw the matric pass rate that came out in January of this year, and that was recorded as the highest matric pass rate that we've seen since 1994, yet very acutely aware of the challenges that those seeking to become chartered accountants have, because they just don't have the skills base. Were you excited about this number? Were you proud of the 78% that was being celebrated by all corners of government?
I think we need to celebrate achievement. It doesn't matter how small it is, and I think our philosophy is that we celebrate our little achievements, because if you add up little achievements, then they turn out to be big achievements. So we have progress, that's progress, and that progress needs to be acknowledged, because if we acknowledge it, we are encouraging the educators, we're encouraging the learners. Having said that, I think there's still a lot to be done, though, because if you can maybe look at the requirements for one to pass, from where we sit, we believe that requirement is too low. Quite a number of the students that have passed don't qualify to do accounting at university. Yes. So from where we sit, there isn't a significant improvement in terms of the pipeline of students that go into university.